It's 2025. It's that time of the year, right? Where all the good stuff is supposed to come out on your theaters or streaming platforms. But I don't know, maybe it's just me, but 2025 in terms of movies has just been a hit or a miss. And then in comes the Smashing Machine, which is like, one of those films which it's on the cusp of becoming something great, but just falters by this much. Yeah, it's one of those films. What's up, y'all? This is Priya's Perspective with me, Preeta. So, today we'll be talking about The Smashing Machine, which is a biopic sports drama directed, written, and produced by Benny Safdie. It stars Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt in the lead roles. Also, I think this is the first time the Safdie brothers have sort of separated. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. So the story basically follows Mark Kerr, who is a very well-known mixed martial art fighter, and it tracks his journey from 1997 to 2000 and how he becomes known as the Smashing Machine through his triumphs, through his losses, through his interactions with his family, his best friends, and everybody that sort of pushes him to become one of the greatest fighters we know today. And yeah, that more or less forms the crux of the story. Okay, so first things first, I want to commend the way it was shot. So if you noticed, most of the cinematography is through handheld camera moments. You're tracking each step Mark is taking in his journey, be it on the ring, be it his interactions with his best friend, his family. So it's somewhat shot in a way of a documentary that sort of takes you on this magnificent journey of how Mark Kerr becomes Mark Kerr as we know him today. And I also want to highlight the fact that Safdie shot this film on 8mm film, and he also shot some of the fighting sequences on IMAX, which just gives you a very magnificent viewing experience. Try to catch this film in IMAX if you can, to get that big screen stadium-like experience. And visually, it just creates this beautiful aura around Dwayne Johnson, especially during the fighting sequences. The way the light is sort of reflecting on him and it forms these like short reflections. It's just awesome to see the kind of visual quality that we get from Safdie's direction and Safdie's camera movements. Speaking of aura and performances, let's jump right into it. Dwayne Johnson. This is certainly a reinvention of his entire persona that we've seen him on the big screen. We popularly know him as the action guy or the funny action guy. We've seen him in like films such as Jumanji, where he's like with the smoldering intensity. But I feel like Safdie knew exactly why he wanted Dwayne Johnson to play this role, because let me tell you this, he has given his blood, sweat, and tears in this project. I mean, if you cannot recognize him, it's because he actually bulked up for the role. And I actually did a bit of digging during the interviews when Safdie mentioned this to him. He was actually a little apprehensive about mentioning that he has to bulk up because, well, we all know Dwayne Johnson, he is very muscular, but the fact that he actually put on the weight, got in shape, and looks so immersed in the role. And this is by far Dwayne Johnson's career-changing role so far. I can't wait to see him in more such roles which play to his strengths and which sort of brings out Dwayne the actor more than Dwayne the action hero. Because mind you, there are action sequences in this. Well, if you consider the fight sequences as action sequences, but every fight sequence, I feel like he also sort of brings this emotionality. He brings in that focus, he brings in that concentration, and when he loses, the way he sort of shows that his concentration is drifted and he's sort of losing he's sort of like losing control of what he once loved. That is the feeling of winning. It's so beautiful to see Dwayne the actor just shine, especially during the emotional sequences. He will make you cry, mind you. And about Emily Blunt, I feel like, no doubt, she is magnificent in this film. She is wonderful. She puts her best foot forward. But again, this is a Dwayne Johnson show all the way. Had it been, if you wanted like Emily Blunt to be in it, I would suggest use her to the full potential, because I mean, how many times do we have to see Emily Blunt being the tortured wife or the tortured better half? I mean, we've seen her in The Girl on the Train, we've seen her in Oppenheimer do the same role, and it sort of reminded me of that. Except Emily Blunt, I feel like in this role as Dawn Staples, was more tortured than like what she was in Oppenheimer, because in Oppenheimer she played that sort of a character, but she still had a spine. You know, she could hold her ground. She still would defend Robert Oppenheimer no matter what. In this case, however, I feel like it was just a really monotonous performance from Emily Blunt. Like she wants to be the supportive girlfriend. She wants to be let into Mark's world, but Mark has this big wall put up against her, and then you slowly see her lose her mind and go full manic. It's just that we have seen her as that before. And also, what's with the screen time of Emily Blunt? Like, she was literally there for just 5 minutes. Collectively, just 5 minutes. She's just making a smoothie, getting there on the fight, fighting with Dwayne Johnson, and yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. Like, we wanted more of Emily Blunt. If you wanted to show how he sort of had this distinction with his relationships, especially between Dawn and his best friend Mark Coleman, you would want that to be balanced, right? I feel like the relationship between Dawn and Mark was just rushed over than like elaborated on. But one thing I love about this movie is that they've casted actual wrestlers as in other roles. Like, the role of Mark Coleman is played by Ryan Bader. He is an actual mixed martial art fighter, and I feel like that is something which is really commendable. The casting is just phenomenal, and huge shout out to Safdie for knowing exactly what he wants, knowing exactly which actors does he want, and the type of people that he wants to work on this project. Okay, let's talk about where the Smashing Machine falters. Number one, the pacing. The pacing is way too rushed. Even with a runtime of 2 hours and 3 minutes, you're just feeling like, wait, that's it? Nothing else? Nothing more to offer? I mean, think about it. You're welcomed into this journey. You want to see your hero win. You see him win fight after fight after fight, and then hit a major speed bump when he loses his first fight. And then when he succumbs to addiction, then he has a tumultuous relationship with Dawn. I mean, I get that you aren't able to, like, sum up his entire life within like a really limited runtime, so don't. Slow it down a little. You don't exactly have to have a really sharp hill as your pacing. You can just go with a little bit of ebb and flow, and we'll still be engaged. And I feel like this is where I feel the writing also comes at fault, because there are no memorable dialogues that you would take back from this film. There are wonderful sequences, that's one thing, but is there a dialogue that you will just quickly engage with? No. It's very simple. It's mildly emotional too, but again, You want to be engrossed in the emotionality of the story. You want to cheer from him. You want to laugh. You want to cry. You want to just be there for Mark. But instead, it's just supremely rushed. Like, you go from one fight to another, then he loses his first fight, he succumbs to addiction, he has a tumultuous relationship with Dawn, and suddenly he's back on the plate. He's back into playing. He's back in the game. He is back in the ring, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, as such, I know what you guys are thinking. Come on, what else would you expect? I have seen sports drama. I've seen sports dramas which literally engage with you on the very first minute, and it just hooks you on so much that you forget that there is actually a runtime, or there's actually an end to the story. This one was like, oh, that's it? You're not gonna talk about his struggle with addiction. You're not gonna talk about why his relationship with Dawn was so tumultuous. You're only gonna have like 2 fight sequences with Dawn, and that's it? What happened with her? What happened with her? Why did she get sent to the asylum? I mean, it just leaves you wanting more. And sadly, even the training montages that we get is just too short. You want to see him succeed, and it's just that we're given really limited amount of time to spend with Mark Coleman. And even the ending, I feel like, is a really peculiar choice. It ends on Mark... Okay, spoiler alert. It ends on Mark losing a fight. And yet he feels like very content with himself. He feels like he gave it his all. He feels like... he feels proud of not only himself, he feels proud of his best friend Mark Coleman, who goes on to winning the championship. But yet again, this story is about the smashing machine. You would want to end it on a sort of triumphant note. No doubt the ending was really good. It was a really like peculiar choice to end on a loss, but it somehow like ties into Mark's perspective of life. But when you go into the theater expecting to see something about the smashing machine, you would want to see him win. You would want to see him at a trajectory where he succeeds in getting over his demons, and just being at a place where he can say that I did it my way. I mean, they use the song too, but I mean, come on. I just wanted a little more. It just seems like the Smashing Machine gets everything right except like getting to the emotional depth, or just slowing it down, allowing us to breathe in every moment that we are watching, if that makes sense. So overall, I would say The Smashing Machine is a one-time watch. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 simply because of Dwayne Johnson and Benny Safdie. I feel like their partnership was just amazing in terms of getting Dwayne the actor out of his shell, and I really hope we get to see Dwayne Johnson do more such roles which have a bit of an emotional depth and not just stick to the smoldering, intense action hero. And I really hope that I think maybe this was because this was Benny Safdie's first solo venture, but I hope that he learns a lot from this project about like slowing it down, taking it easy, letting the audience like breathe every moment, right? And yeah, that was what I felt about The Smashing Machine. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do the whole shebang, and let me know in the comments below what you felt about The Smashing Machine. Follow me on Instagram at McCarthyPeter01, and as and Letterboxd at That Filmy Chick for more such reviews. This is Pri's Perspective signing off. I know it's been a minute since I've given a full-fledged movie review, but I promise I'm gonna be back really soon. Bye!